from one of the greatest shooters ever.
Thompson fakes, fires, three-pointer, bang! He's got 20, Thompson puts it in!
Klay spaces out, feet set, three down!
That was a strong double. Klay Thompson!
Yeah. To a guy who is blacklisted by the NBA.
Developing this morning, China pulling the broadcast of the Boston Celtics season-opening game.
According to its state-run media, Turkey has just issued an arrest warrant for an NBA player claiming he is a terrorist.
This is what happened to the 14 players drafted before Kawhi Leonard. The 2011 draft class was considered one of the weakest of all time. Most players had serious flaws in their game, and even with favorable projections, franchises saw these guys as role players at best. Aside from Kyrie Irving, he was the only guy the analysts league-wide agreed was NBA ready. But the other players like Kawhi Leonard, they were a huge mystery. In college, Leonard was a utility player. He could do some things really well, like rebound, defend, and get to the hoop. But his jump shot was inconsistent, especially from three-point range. In 2 seasons at San Diego State, he averaged 14 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 assists, which looks good, but not if you're shooting 44% from the field and 25% from 3. Bleacher Report called Leonard a, quote, great athlete, but said he couldn't play small forward at a high level. His NBA pre-draft comparison became Gerald Wallace, who was an above-average player but only made 1 All-Star team his entire career. Still, Leonard's size, versatility, and team-first mindset made him unique. He was still a consensus lottery pick, even with the holes in his game. And now, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Raid is a turn-based MMORPG that is the hottest mobile game that you can play right now. Raid has amazing graphics, 650 unique champions to own, and awesome bosses to defeat. But I like Raid Shadow Legends for different reasons. First, it's absolutely free to play. Second, it's indexed, basically like NBA scouting reports. You can see every champion you can play as, including their skills and counter strategies. Third, the Dragon's Lair, which is the best place to farm speed artifacts. And fourth, regular updates. New stuff is constantly coming to Raid, including new events, items, and dungeons to take on. Raid is celebrating their 4th anniversary, and there's plenty of reasons for you to be thrilled. Their brand new Fusion event grants you access to an anniversary-themed legendary champion. You'll also be able to reminisce about your Raid journey with a recap video showcasing your stats. And if you're an Amazon Prime member and just got Genbo, watch out for the upcoming drop with some powerful Savage gear. It's available from March 2nd to March 30th. With all this exciting stuff and more coming to Raid, what are you waiting for? Use the link in the description or scan my QR code to get insane bonuses, including the epic champion Kellen the Shrike. Once you're in and crushing your enemies, find me under the name Henry Hoops, and if you're fast enough, you can join my clan. Hit the link in the description, and I'll see you on the battlefield. Back to the video. So, how did the San Antonio Spurs, a team that had the 29th pick in the 2011 draft, magically get a top 15 player? Well, Greg Popovich and Spurs management crafted a draft day trade with the Indiana Pacers. They offered George Hill, the 24-year-old point guard, for the draft rights to Indiana's picks. It was extremely risky. George Hill was an emerging star in San Antonio. He was also one of Pop's favorite players of all time. But the Spurs desperately needed size to compete with teams like the Miami Heat and the rest of the league who had extremely athletic small forwards. So they rolled the dice on Kawhi Leonard. Unfortunately for 14 other teams, Kawhi Leonard quickly outgrew his pre-draft potential. In 6 seasons in San Antonio, Leonard went from averaging 7 points and 5 rebounds his rookie year to averaging 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists in 2016. He made 2 All-Star teams, won an NBA championship, and was named Finals MVP.
Man, that's all surreal to me right now.
Eventually, things went sour, and Kawhi forced his way out of San Antonio. But that didn't stop his dominance. In 2019, he led the Toronto Raptors to an NBA championship. He beat the Sixers on a buzzer beater.
Simmons, is this the dagger?
And in 6 games, took down the Golden State Warriors. His performance earned him his 2nd NBA championship, Finals MVP, and solidified him as a first-ballot Hall of Famer. Now, he's trying to do something no player succeeded in before, win with the Los Angeles Clippers.
Hey.
But what about the 14 guys drafted ahead of Kawhi Leonard? Where did they end up? The first pick in the 2011 draft was
Kyrie Irving from Duke University.
Scouts loved Kyrie's handles, playmaking, and ability to take over the game in the clutch. In his first NBA season, Kyrie proved right away that he was elite. He won Rookie of the Year on averages of 18 points and 5 assists. He made the All-Star team his sophomore year and continued to improve his scoring and efficiency. He also took Brandon Knight's ankles twice in the Rising Stars game.
For Smith or for somebody else?
Long 2-3, 3-2 type of guy to defend other teams' small forwards.
Kyrie going to work on Brandon Knight.
Oh, no!
LeBron rejoined the Cavs in 2014 to win a championship in Cleveland, and the pair were a perfect duo. Kyrie helped facilitate for LeBron and carried the team's offensive load when they needed it most. Like when he hit one of the biggest shots in NBA history in Game 7 of the 2016 Finals.
Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good! Kyrie Irving from downtown!
This made Kyrie a champion, beloved by the city of Cleveland and respected by the NBA community as a whole. But in 2017, Kyrie wanted to lead his own team, so he left Cleveland for the Boston Celtics. This is when the Kyrie drama really started to gain traction. In Boston, he beefed with teammates, underperformed in the 2019 playoffs, and then left for Brooklyn after promising the TD Garden that he would resign.
Everyone else in Boston, you guys will have me back. I plan on re-signing here next year.
Boom!
So.
In Brooklyn, Kyrie was special.
Irving, the crossover into the paint. There's 2 seconds left. Irving stops, takes, and Irving, you bet. Send-off, jumper. Kyrie! Going up.
But that's when he's actually on the court. In 2023, Brooklyn finally broke up their failed super team experiment. They sent Kevin Durant to Phoenix and Kyrie to Dallas to join Luka and the Mavericks. We'll all have to wait and see how the move plays out for each of the franchises. But individually speaking, Kyrie is a 7-time All-Star, NBA champion, and first ballot Hall of Famer. Even if you redraft today, I think the Cavs made the right pick when they chose the freshman point guard from Duke.
Curry the drive, shot blocked by Irving.
It's Irving, long 3, got it.
Irving shake and bake and drills it. Irving spins, puts up the shot, it's good.
The second pick in the 2011 draft was
Derrick Williams from the University of Arizona.
Coming out of Arizona, sophomore Derrick Williams had a ton of potential. At 6'8" and 240 pounds, his inside-out game seemed perfect for the modern NBA. However, the fit in Minnesota was awkward from the start. Kevin Love was at the pinnacle of his career, averaging over 20 points and 15 rebounds a game in 2010. So Williams never got much of a chance on the court, and even when he did, he didn't make much of it. He lasted only 7 years in the league and played for 6 different teams during that time. In 2019, he took his talents to the EuroLeague, where he averaged 15 points and 5 rebounds. Considering some of the talented power forwards picked later in this draft, this is a pick Minnesota definitely wants back. The third pick in the draft was a Turkish center from Switzerland, Enes Kanter.
Enes Kanter from Istanbul, Turkey, and the University of Kentucky.
The NBA community knew very little about Enes Kanter. Most of his high school games weren't filmed, and due to eligibility issues, Kanter couldn't join the NCAA. But in the 2010 Nike Hoop Summit, Kanter dominated with 34 points and 13 rebounds. So the Jazz took the risk and selected the 7-foot phenom. Enes came off the bench for most of his time in Utah. In 2014, he was traded to OKC, where he played backup center to Steven Adams. Over his 3 seasons there, Kanter averaged 14 points and 8 rebounds. But he randomly dominated when given the chance, like when he scored 33 points and 20 rebounds in his only start in 2016.
Kanter backing down on Davis. Davis buys the head fake. Kanter lays it up and in.
Caught fire. Knocking down a 3-2, trying to lead the Thunder to victory, but
he then played 1.5 seasons in New York, where he averaged a double-double. Then bounced around the NBA, playing for Portland in 2018, Boston in 2019, back to Portland in 2020, and then was traded to Boston again in 2021. In the summer of 2022, his career fizzled out, and he received no offers during free agency. Or was that what happened? In his last NBA season, Kanter caused a lot of turmoil in the media. He vocally condemned the NBA's relationship with China, said that Nike shoe factories were run by Uyghur slave labor, and wore custom shoes that trolled LeBron James. He even changed his name to Enes Freedom.
They knew that just because of the shoes that I was wearing, whatever I was saying was really hurting the Celtics. They were losing millions of dollars. They knew that if you put him out there, it's gonna be trouble for him. Just before that last Celtics season, Look at the stats. I averaged double-double.
Former coaches and NBA executives disagree. Stan Van Gundy said he just wasn't good and cited his lackluster defense. Either way, Enes is 30 years old and out of the league. Now he's a regular guest on news stations. The fourth pick in the 2011 NBA draft now doubles as a reality TV star.
Yep. I like to hear.
But jokes aside, Tristian Thompson had a solid NBA career. He played 9 seasons in Cleveland, averaging 9 points and 8 rebounds. He was a big part of the Cavs team that went to the finals for 4 straight seasons, and was a starter on the 2016 championship team. In his last season in Cleveland, Tristian averaged 12 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 assists. But since 2019, he's been a journeyman around the NBA, playing for Boston, Sacramento, and Indiana. In February 2022, he signed a 1-year contract with the Bulls, but hasn't played a single game this season. So it looks like his NBA career is over. Although the Cavs probably hate themselves for not grabbing Kawhi Leonard, they still got a championship and a lot of value out of Tristian Thompson. The 5th pick in the draft was Jonas Valančiūnas from Lithuania. Jonas was considered the top European prospect in his class. He was 19 years old, just won a FIBA World Cup MVP, and had the size and skill set similar to many elite European centers. Valančiūnas spent 7 seasons as a Raptors starting center. In 470 games, he averaged a solid 11 points and 8 rebounds. But Toronto crumbled in the playoffs each year against LeBron. So in 2018 and 2019, the franchise shook things up. They traded for Kawhi in the summer, and then mid-season traded Jonas to the Memphis Grizzlies. Unfortunately, the Raptors went on to win a championship that year without him. But Jonas found a home in New Orleans where he has continued to improve. Now he starts at center and averages 16 points and 10 rebounds per game. Valančiūnas was a great pick and major contributor to the Raptors winning an NBA championship, just not in the way he would have liked. Known as a European Blake Griffin before the draft, Veselý seemed like the perfect NBA center. He was fast, could jump, and in his pre-draft season, he shot 36% from 3. Plus, at 6'11" and 240 pounds, the big Serbian had some highlight dunks.
Here we go for Brandon Bass. Go underneath, Veselý. What a great pass. Here's the alley-oop for Veselý.
However, once he got on the court, the Jan hype train quickly fell apart. In 162 NBA games, Jan averaged just 3 points and 3 rebounds. He shot under 41% from the free throw line, and once fouled out of a game in 8 minutes of playing time. It was clear he wasn't Blake Griffin 2.0, or even a backup-worthy center. At 23 years old, Jan's NBA career ended. He took his talents back to Europe in 2014, where he miraculously turned everything around. He won championships, MVPs, and was selected to all EuroLeague's first team 3 times. He was a complete bust of a pick for the Wizards, but apparently he could perform, just not on an NBA court. The 7th pick went to another international player.
Bismack Biyombo.
Biyombo was selected by Sacramento and then immediately traded to the Charlotte Bobcats in a 3-team deal. Biyombo was and still is a defensive-minded center. He can rebound, protect the rim, and cover space in the pick and roll. Biyombo averages 5 points and 6 rebounds in 19 minutes per game. He currently plays backup center to DeAndre Ayton for the Phoenix Suns. He wasn't the greatest pick at number 7, but he plays his role well.
Wide open look, doesn't go. Bismack with the Burks.
Look at Biz.
Are you kidding? Biz, free reign to the cup. Is Biyombo laying the wood.
With the 8th pick in the draft, the Detroit Pistons selected Brandon Knight. At 19 years old, he showed flashes of brilliance with his handle and passing. In his rookie year, he averaged 13 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists, and was the first Detroit Piston to make the all-rookie team since Grant Hill. He continued to improve his game until 2015 and 2016, when he averaged 19 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists with the Phoenix Suns. Then Devin Booker got drafted and took all his minutes. Unfortunately, you probably remember Brandon Knight from his embarrassing lowlights. He got crossed up by Kyrie, he missed a wide-open game-winning layup, and was posterized by DeAndre Jordan.
A lob. A jam! Oh, what a monster jam by DeAndre Jordan!
Knight played for 6 NBA franchises from 2011 to 2022. Over his career, he averaged 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. Fans may laugh at him for his low-light mix, but the guy was actually really skilled and made over $100 million in the NBA.
What a fake by Knight! Oh, yeah!
The Charlotte Bobcats were in rebuild mode for this draft. They traded up to get Bismack Biyombo at number 7, so next on their list was a forward or point guard. Instead of grabbing Kawhi, they chose Kemba Walker, the March Madness legend.
The game with 4. Kemba Walker, step back, Walker, cardiac, Kemba does
At 21 years old, Kemba was an electric point guard. His speed, handle, and jumper was a highlight reel right from the start. In 8 seasons with Charlotte, Kemba averaged 19 points, 5 assists, and 3 rebounds. He became a 3-time All-Star and the franchise's best player of all time. In 2019, he was traded to the Boston Celtics with hopes of competing for a championship. He maintained his stellar averages, but fell short in the playoffs both years he was there. Throughout his career, Kemba has dealt with lingering knee injuries. In 2022, he elected to sideline his season with the Knicks and fully recovered to come back in 2023 100% healthy. Unfortunately, the Knicks traded him to Detroit, who then waived him from the team. Kemba was a great pick for a rebuilding franchise. Hopefully, his 10-day contract is not the last we see of Cardiac Kemba.
With the 10th pick in the 2011 NBA Draft, the Milwaukee Bucks select Jimmer Fredette from Brigham Young University.
In his senior year at BYU, Jimmer Fredette averaged nearly 29 points per game. He became the unanimous College Player of the Year and was a social media phenom. But when he got to the NBA, things changed. In his rookie year in Sacramento, he put up only 7 points on 18 minutes of playing time. Over a 5-year span, he played for 4 different teams and then was out of the league. It's possible that Jimmer just needed more minutes and freedom to be himself. In 2016, he signed with the Shanghai Sharks of the Chinese Basketball League. He became an instant superstar, averaging 37 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. He won a couple of CBA MVPs and once scored 70 points in a single game. I guess he'd be considered a bust for being the 10th pick, but maybe he never really got a chance in the NBA. The 11th pick in the draft was Klay Thompson. This entire video could have been about how 10 NBA franchises somehow passed on him. And Thompson certainly hasn't forgotten about this fact either.
Hey man, 2011 NBA draft with the 10th pick, the Sacramento Kings don't select me, so people don't forget. That's all I gotta say.
You already know Klay Thompson's story. Second best shooter of all time, 4-time champion, and a top 75 player of all time. Or at least he should be.
Get the New Jersey! Get the New Jersey! 7th best player of all time, baby!
Klay has averaged 19 points and 4 rebounds for his career. He once put up 37 points in a quarter, hitting all 13 of his shots. Another time, he scored 60 points.
60 for Klay Thompson!
On just 11 dribbles. It's safe to say that even with Kawhi still available, the Warriors made the right pick by taking Game 6 Klay.
Catch and shoot 3. There it is. Point line. And dropped in another. Thompson from deep. It's good. For NBA history. You got it. 14 threes in a game. Has never been done.
The 12th pick in the draft was Alec Burks. At 19 years old, Burks was another guard like Brandon Knight, who scouts thought had talent but needed time to develop. For 8 seasons, the Utah Jazz did their best to support Burks. He averaged over 20 minutes per game and for a few years had the ultra green light on the offensive end. Through multiple injuries and lack of efficiency, he never really made the jump to an all-star level. The team parted ways with him in 2018, and since then he's played with 7 different franchises. In that time, he's improved his shooting and rebounding numbers, but still hasn't found a home. He's currently on the Detroit Pistons, and every now and then will drop 20 points, or go 1 for 14. If you're a Jazz fan, I'm sorry. Just know that you passed on Jimmy Butler and Kawhi Leonard in order to get Burks. It's fitting that the Morris twins got drafted back-to-back in the same order of their birth. Markieff went first to Phoenix with the 13th pick, followed by Marcus, who was selected by Houston with the 14th pick. Both Morris brothers are big, strong wings who can guard across multiple positions, rebound, and create their own shot.
One Morris to another.
Both of them come away smiling.
Because of their versatility, they've been passed around the league quite a bit. Markieff has played for 8 teams, while Marcus has played for 6. When you adjust both their stats per 36 minutes played, they're nearly the same player, with Marcus averaging slightly more points and Markieff averaging slightly more rebounds. Marcus found a home in LA in 2020 and starts with Kawhi Leonard as the Clippers forward. He averages 12 points and 4 rebounds in 29 minutes per game. Markieff got into trouble with the Joker in 2021 and hasn't really been the same player since. This season, he is averaging 3 points and 2 rebounds in just 10 minutes. Together, the Morris twins are above average NBA players. But the fact that both were picked before Kawhi Leonard is kind of tragic. In 2011, this draft class was considered one of the weakest ever, but time has told a different story. This class had 7 All-Stars, 4 Hall of Famers, and plenty of high-value players. Nikola Vucevic, Tobias Harris, and Bojan Bogdanovic were all drafted outside of the lottery, and they're still putting up numbers in the NBA today. Let's not forget about Isaiah Thomas either. The former 2-time All-Star was drafted with the very last pick. What really matters is that 14 NBA franchises passed on Kawhi Leonard, but I guess you can't blame them. No one really predicted this dude would turn into the monster he is today, except for maybe Kawhi.
You can't just be the perfect basketball player. They're always going to criticize something about your game. So I think it's fair, and they could keep criticizing me bad or positive. I'm just going to keep working harder to try to prove people wrong.
It's always great to compete versus the best. Me and Kawhi have been doing it for quite a while now, so it's always a pleasure.
2 years ago, Chuck and myself said this guy's the second best player in the NBA. He's now back to that form, in my opinion. He's doing it all tonight.
Playing against him for so many years in the Western Conference, he's top 3 in the world and hands down the number 1 two-way player in the game.
He's always at his own pace and never seems to get rushed or be in a hurry.
Well, I think that, if he can win this championship, it'll put him right up there with LeBron and KD. I think that Kawhi is doing it on both ends, man.
I love watching him play. I just love watching him play. And Kawhi's been able to do, and with the spots that he operates from, are the exact same spots where I like to operate from. I love watching those guys play.
If you enjoyed these longer videos, hit the subscribe button and tick the notification bell. I have a ton of awesome content coming out, and I always tailor my videos for the Henry Hoops audience. So if you don't want to miss out, hit the subscribe button.